Daily Mass Readings and Reflection. June 18, 2023. First reading. Exodus chapter 19. Verses 2-6. In those days, the Israelites came to the desert of Sinai and pitched camp. While Israel was encamped here in front of the mountain, Moses went up the mountain to God. Then the Lord called to him and said, "Thus shall you say to the house of Jacob, tell the Israelites, you have seen for yourselves how I treated the Egyptians and how I bore you up on eagle wings and brought you here to myself. Therefore, if you hearken to my voice and keep my covenant, you shall be my special possession, dearer to me than all other people, though all the earth is mine. You shall be to me a kingdom of priests, a holy nation." Responsorial Psalm. We are his people, the sheep of his flock. Second reading. Romans chapter 5. Verses 6-11. Brothers and sisters, Christ, while we were still helpless, yet died at the appointed time for the ungodly. Indeed, only with difficulty does one die for a just person, though perhaps for a good person one might even find courage to die. But God proves his love for us in that while we were still sinners Christ died for us. How much more then, since we are now justified by his blood, will we be saved through him from the wrath? Indeed, if, while we were enemies, we were reconciled to God through the death of his Son, how much more, when reconciled, will we be saved by his life? Not only that, but we also boast of God through our Lord Jesus Christ, through whom we have now received reconciliation. Gospel. Matthew chapter 9. Verse 36. Chapter 10. Verse 8. The feeding of the 5,000. At the sight of the crowd, Jesus' heart was moved with pity for them because they were troubled and abandoned, like sheep without a shepherd. Then he said to his disciples, "The harvest is abundant but the laborers are few, so ask the master of the harvest to send out laborers for his harvest." Then he summoned his 12 disciples and gave them authority over unclean spirits to drive them out and to cure every disease and every illness. The names of the 12 apostles are these. First, Simon, called Peter, and his brother Andrew, James the son of Zebedee, and his brother John, Philip and Bartholomew, Thomas and Matthew the tax collector, James, the son of Alphaeus, and Thaddeus, Simon from Cana, and Judas Iscariot who betrayed him. Jesus sent out these 12 after instructing them thus, "Do not go into pagan territory or enter a Samaritan town. Go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. As you go, make this proclamation: the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Cure the sick, raise the dead, cleanse lepers, drive demons. Without the cost you have received, without cost you are to give." Reflection. Without cost you are to give. The Gospel begins with describing Jesus' disposition towards the people as he moves around the towns and villages in Galilee. He has compassion on them because they were troubled and abandoned, like sheep without a shepherd. They are sick and they lack leaders to comfort and guide them. In response, Jesus cures them and preaches the kingdom of heaven to them, of God who attends to them. In addition, he summons his 12 disciples and sends them with the authority over unclean spirits, to cure the sick, to announce that the kingdom of heaven is at hand. The 12 apostles are to carry out Jesus' very own mission. Their authority and power come from Jesus, they do not come from their own merit or capacity. Hence, they are to exercise it with generosity. Without cost you have received, without cost you have to give. Today, the crowds who are harassed and helpless, like sheep without a shepherd, are increasing in number all over the world. They appear in many different forms. The stateless people, the persecuted, the jobless, those suffering both physical and mental sickness, the victims of human trafficking, the abandoned, the lonely. They can be our family members, office mates, friends, and relatives. Jesus is inviting us to share his compassion with them, to be sensitive to their situation. Moreover, the gospel challenges us to add to the number of the few laborers of the harvest, to pray for and be counted among those whom God continues to send to go and proclaim the good news. In our present context, so that the sheep who are without a shepherd may truly be assured that they, too, are God's people. How sensitive are we to the condition of our brothers and sisters who may belong to the crowd who are like sheep without a shepherd? How do we respond to God's invitation to be counted among those whom he continues to send to proclaim the good news of the kingdom? How generous are we to give without payment, since we receive without payment, having been saved by Christ? Are we people who are gifted to give,